Hi everybody and welcome to Unit 1 of our course. So in this video I'm going to go over the objectives of this unit, the major assignment or the portfolio assignment that you'll submit at the end of the unit, and some key things to keep in mind as you work throughout the unit. I'm not going to go over each individual activity in the module or each individual thing in the schedule of activities. You can refer to the schedule of activities for specific things we'll be doing week by week and their due dates, and then also look for those in the module, but I just wanted to go over some of the most important things. And of course, you can always reach out to me or an academic success tutor if you need more help. So Unit 1, it's called Fun with Fandom. So it's all about this idea of picking something that you like a movie, a podcast, a TV show, a video game. Really, the possibilities are quite broad, but just something that you like and you feel passionate about in terms of some kind of creative work. All right, so by the end of the unit, you're going to compose an essay where you are giving me a thesis about what makes that particular thing really important or really interesting, or what makes it really different. So there are activities throughout the unit that will guide you through that process, but that's basically what we're doing is you're composing basically an academic essay where you're arguing a thesis about your particular topic. So the goals of this unit, so annotate reading assignments, identify rhetorical and genre concepts in reading assignments. So that's basically reading things and being able to annotate and identify things that illustrate things about a genre, about its rhetorical situation, audience, context, and purpose, things like that. You'll learn more about that in Unit 1 of the textbook. Create and revise a thesis. So your thesis, as we'll go over in just a moment here, is up to you, but you want to come up with a good thesis for your essay and support it with clear, concrete evidence. And then demonstrate the steps in the writing process and demonstrate analysis of a primary source. So that's what you'll do by the end of the unit. Let's go ahead and jump in and look at the portfolio major assignment for the unit. I always like to start with that because that way we know what we're building towards. All the other activities and all of the other parts of the unit are building towards this. So the genre analysis. So again, a specific movie, TV show, podcast possibilities are very broad. In a 3 to 4 page essay, give me a thesis about what makes this interesting or different, or whatever it is that you want to say. There's lots of activities in the module that'll help you narrow down a thesis, but the thesis is really up to you. And that can be quite scary to students sometimes when I say the thesis, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what your thesis is or what specifically you're going to write about in terms of your topic or your thesis. Yeah, that can be a little bit scary. So, but what I want is for the end product to come from you. You know, a topic that you're interested in or passionate about, and a thesis that you really came up with from a close observation of your topic. So that's really a really important goal of good college writing, is being able to write something that is a reflection of you, a reflection of your interests, as opposed to just answering a question that I give you. Okay, so you're gonna have to pick a topic, brainstorm some ideas about that topic, come up with a thesis about that topic, and then support that thesis throughout your essay using concrete details. You don't have to use any outside sources other than what we call our primary source, the thing that we're looking at closely to compose our analysis. So that would be your specific TV show, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 episodes, or the movie, or whatever it is. That's your primary source. That's the only source that you have to use in Cite. You don't have to use any outside sources, but if you do, it's best to use them to provide some context maybe, but don't use them to form your analysis. I want to hear what you have to think about this topic, not what others have to think. Okay, so 3 to 4 pages, use MLA format. There are resources in the module that will help you with your MLA page setup and citations. Look for that checklist towards the end of the unit for the genre analysis project. It'll have some links in there to help you with MLA if you need an MLA refresher. But this is English 102, so hopefully you are somewhat familiar with MLA. And then I already talked about the sources here. So that's a brief overview of that project. If you need help, remember there's tutors in the Academic Success Center that can help you with it at any stage of the writing process, the tutor.com tutors, or you can ask for an office hours appointment. And again, any stage of the writing process, whether you're trying to think of a good topic or whether you've got a full draft that you want to review, or anywhere in between. Again, I'm not going to go over every specific activity in the module. You can refer to the schedule of activities in the module to kind of look for that. But remember, everything that we do in this module is leading up to this essay. So you'll have some reading assignments. Remember, those aren't graded. I don't really check for those, but that's really important to do in order to be able to do the rest of the work in the course. Also, when it comes to reading assignments, there's a date on the schedule that I say you should have those done by, but because they're not graded, you can really do them whenever you want. There's no penalty for doing them late. Just make sure that you do the reading work before you attempt any of the activities in the module. That's the most important thing. Do the reading work for that week before you do any of the activities, because it's important to have read that content before you try to do the activities. And then you'll have participation work and process work. So participation work is things that we might normally do if we were in class on campus, and those count towards a participation grade. And then your process work. So your process work will be little chunks or little parts of the major assignment. So in this one, you'll be producing a draft and working on revising that draft as part of your process work. And then the final product will also be part of that final grade, or that final project grade. Okay, so let's get into a couple of things about the module itself. So one thing I want to talk a little bit about is these chapter toolkits. So one of the first participation assignments you'll do is this chapter 1 toolkit. So chapter 1 is all about critical reading. So that's going to help you a lot with your annotation assignments and your discussions and things like that. Is critical reading, being able to read and think critically by thinking about who the audience is, what the author's purpose is, what kinds of evidence they use, all kinds of questions like that. And this little graphic right here is really handy and neat for thinking about rhetorical situation. But these documents in here, a couple of tips, if you go down here to the bottom and select this little thing in the middle here and say, well, actually it's the this one here with the 100% sizing. If I click on that, I can say adjust to page width. That makes it a little bit easier to read. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as you're going through the modules. You may want to adjust the size of the document within the frame right there. And also what you're going to do to actually do your work here is you're going to download it. So I'm going to say download a copy right here in the corner. And then I'm going to go to my Finder window. There's my downloads, and I'm just going to upload that to my OneDrive folder. So remember, you're doing your work for your course in your OneDrive folder, either by uploading the documents that are in the module or starting a new document if you're starting something like an essay draft. So I can do that a couple of ways. I can either just move it if I've got it set up on my desktop, or in my OneDrive right here, I can upload it from the web interface too. But I'm just going to upload that to my OneDrive folder so I can get started doing it and opening it up in Word and getting to work on it. So with this one, make sure that you're following the directions, you're using the reading that it talks about. It gives you an example of rhetorical situation with Barack Obama's speech, but don't do your responses based on Barack Obama's speech. Do it based on the reading that's on the schedule, okay? And then answer those questions about critical reading, rhetorical situation for your first chapter there, your in-class process work. Okay, and then to submit it, what you're going to do is you're just going to go back to the Dropbox. Click on the link for the Dropbox and then submit it to the Dropbox from there once you're finished doing that. And then one cool thing about D2L is that you can actually upload files directly from your OneDrive folder. So there's an option to do that in the when you go to submit something to the Dropbox, there's an option to just send it directly from your OneDrive folder. So a pretty cool little feature there. So there's a chapter 1 toolkit. And then the rest of the process work for the unit is really involved with doing these chapter 7 toolkits from the textbook. So the first part of the chapter 7 toolkit, parts 7.1 and 7.2, it's mainly about identifying a topic. So it takes you through, a few different ways to think about coming up with a topic. And then you're also thinking about, well, why do I want to use this topic for my genre analysis project? What are some things that I might look at really closely? Because analysis is all about looking at things really closely. So what am I going to look at closely? I'm going to look at a particular character or set of characters closely. Am I going to look at a particular theme in the plot really closely? What is it? And then the next part of the toolkit you're going to go through this part, and this seems like a pretty long document and it seems like an awful lot of work, but what you're really doing here is you're going through the process of planning and the very early or very rudimentary drafting phases of your essay. So you can use all of this work that you do in these toolkits in your essay. That's the whole idea. I'm coming up with my thesis, I'm coming up with my topic, I'm coming up with specific evidence, I'm coming up with quotations from my primary source. I'm doing all of this in these toolkits, that way I can just take that and put it into the essay. So if this seems like a lot of work doing these toolkits, it's really just you're going through the process of writing your essay. And once you're done with these toolkits, all you have to do is take that information and formalize it in the essay itself. So don't be intimidated by the number of pages that these toolkits are or the number of questions that they ask. There's no particular right or wrong answers. I'm not going to be really looking at that in terms of giving you feedback on these. It's just, are you engaging in the process of doing the essay, doing all these different parts that involve coming up with the information that you need to complete the essay assignment. So that's really what all this is about. No right or wrong answers. I just want you to show me that you thought about it, that you planned it, that you really started thinking about this early on and not just like the night before the draft is due or something like that. So again, this is all work that it'll make it easier when you go to actually type up the essay itself if you engage in these toolkits the proper way. Okay, so again, that is kind of the highlights of Unit 1. Look for the schedule of activities and in the unit module for each specific activity. But I hope this is a good overview of what we're doing and why we're doing it. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me via email. If it's a simple question that really requires a simple response, email is really good. If it's something more complicated, like I'm not sure how to start on this assignment, you may want to ask for an office hours appointment. So either one of those is perfectly fine to do to get more help. But I look forward to seeing your work in the unit, and good luck, everyone.